Ooh, interesting episode title. This is a new scene, we have not seen this before. But Phantoms of the Dead. There we go. Much more heartwarming. Usually it's the other way around, right? Usually Frieren is the one who's tired. Oh, we got a side quest. We need to accept the side quest. Come on. Okay, further clarification that it can be Einzam. Whoa. Oh, I love this. Getting a bit more spooky, more eerie, if you see a phantom of Heitar. Speak of the man. It's going to emotionally manipulate him. Yeah. Playing around with their thoughts, their feelings. I have a feeling that the monster knows about Fern's memories. Yeah. Exactly. Being used against you. Yeah. Yeah, I have a feeling that it's selecting the ones that you love the most. Overkill? Ah, illusionary magic. Right. The Misty Forest is the illusionary magic. Gotcha. Right. Okay. Thematically, I am enjoying this episode, or at least this first part of the episode. Ties in nicely with the first 4 episodes and the themes of the first 4 episodes and what we're trying to go to. Aha! Protective spell. And now it's awake. Frieren hiding in behind a tree. That's really funny. Go! Run! Frieren again hiding behind a tree. The panic in Fern's eyes. Ah, this is nothing compared to what we're gonna be facing in the next 10 years, man. A companion. Ah. Is it the guy with the red hair that we saw in the opening? Oh, beautiful. Ooh, also beautiful. Yeah. Oh man, I love just how everything is alive and how everything is dead in this shot. The complete difference between like the market and whatever this place is. Oh, he is expecting them. Interesting. Whoa. Star came in and saved them? It is. Yeah. Just standing off? Fascinating. This music that is playing. I wonder what's up with his hands being wrapped up. Would he know? Yeah, of course he would know. Why indeed? I wonder if it's because by keeping the dragon alive, the villagers will treat Stark as a hero because the dragon doesn't want to come to the village because of Stark. So as long as the dragon is alive, going to dictate the land and such. Whoa! That was fun. Of course. Right. What if he's not actually strong and... Okay. That's why we didn't see his actual reaction. The dragon thought that Stark was really powerful. Okay, okay. Oh no. Oh. When are you going to keep the lie? When will you finally make the lie the truth? That's why Frieren called out the scar being absolutely nothing. Fern does not look pleased at all. We're not here to talk about me, we're here to talk about Stark. What was that? It's the canyon being... Kind of get the feeling that Stark is a beautiful shot. I'm kind of getting the feeling that Stark is honing his strength and power, right? Ah, ooh. Person who ran away. Interesting. Yeah, the canyon is being used for practice. Oh, that is so fun. He trains to be strong, but he doesn't have the courage to face his fear. Where are those rocks falling from? That's literally the sky. The hero of the village, huh? Why indeed? Ah, beautiful wind animation there with the hair. Whoa. Whoa. What is that? Whoa. Excellently done. Also, metaphorically speaking, how long are you going to run away? Eventually, you're gonna hit the end of the road and you have to look back and face your fears. Faith. Gotta have faith and trust. No, 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 no. He'll come around. He'll come around. There he is. Oh, look at how happy Fern is. Gotta take your first step, right? Whoa! Wow! Oh, great. Lovely focus there. It's my fear that brought me this. Wow, that is a good line. Within context, of course. Oh, that is so well and wow! Woo. Whew. Beautifully done, beautifully done. Oh, this shot of the dragon moving is so good. Come on, come on. Do it. You do it. That was excellently done. The subversion of expectation, the flow of the action, the choreography, the direction. Frieren's so happy. Look at all of this loot. She's just like me when I'm playing a video game. Look at all of this loot. Oh, it's so much. Ridiculous how? I bet it was. Our journey's just begun. Wow. Wow. That was an interesting lore dump. Gonna have to research that later on, Frieren. Oh, I was... Well... Let's go! 3 birds? Oh, interesting. Only 2 birds. Interesting shot here. The low angle shot just making him feel in the presence of the screen more. He's just doing his job. Oh, oh, I'm going to enjoy these 3 a lot. 2 years. That looks delicious. Interesting, the bartender knows about Aizen. Well, 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 look who started to join in. Yo, that animation is sick. That was great. Yeah, that is a problem. Oh my god, you're normal. You're a normal human being. The jokes. I mean, we don't know about that for sure. Great shot, but obviously the trading guild and all that stuff, you know. Yeah, business isn't really going really well. Ah, getting a bit more shady now. Now, I mean, we have no other choice. Really now? Let's see his charisma. Ah. Oh, wow. Oh, man. Oh, that was fun. That was a fun little montage. Man, I love the amount of hair animation in this episode. Interesting shot here. Oh? Ignoring the question, are we? We've been focusing a lot on both Aizen's hand and Stark's hand. That is if he's still alive once you get back. Yeah, I love this little bonding moment between the 2 of them, obviously sharing the same perspective and view of time, as opposed to Frieren. Speaking of Frieren, why was she... Oh, she was hiding away from Fern and Stark. Or not. Oh. And we need your help with a side quest. Oh, who is this? Right. She doesn't want to go north. And that's why she's okay with staying 2 years in this place, because she's postponing it. Duh. Well, there you go. Problem solved. No, I wanted to learn my magic and stuff. This is truly New Game Plus. There we go. Being praised? Being cheered? It might actually remind her of her previous journey with her previous party, right? Oh, beautiful transition. Okay, Frieren episode 5 and 6. What a set of episodes it was. If you're watching this discussion, then you probably noticed the change in apparel. It's been a couple of days since I've actually watched the episodes of Frieren. I wasn't able to record my discussion in time, but here we are. And like I said, what a set of episodes it was. The world building, the constant adventure. This is technically I would say our first official adventure foray into the land of the dead, right? Into the main quest. The first couple of episodes is pretty much a prologue, if you will, right, of Frieren meeting Fern and then her adventure and building up the team, building up the trust, and eventually figuring out, okay, what are we gonna do next for the remainder of the show? And that is what we discovered by the end of episode 4. We are trying to reach the land of the dead. We are trying to make amends of our past, I would say, our past regrets. And now the adventure truly begins. This is the part where, if we're playing a video game, this is when the main quest truly begins, right? We just finished the prologue, and now we are entering the main storyline. And what a way to start the main storyline, by introducing a new character in Stark. We kind of got a glimpse of him in the openings, right? We saw Fern walking with Stark in the opening credits. We never really know who he is. All we just know and what we can speculate is that he is going to be a new member of our party, and that he is. We are introduced to him, and what an introduction it was. I will say that Stark at first kind of reminded me of the cowardly archetype, or I guess more appropriately, the character that was mistaken to be the hero and became the hero because the people thought he defeated the dragon even though he didn't. People's perception of him is that of a strong person, that is, you know, a person who is brave, who is not scared at the face of evil, but in reality he was just scared shitless. Like, he was just standing because he couldn't move out of fear. And what I appreciate about the story, and this is what I am hoping for in the future, is that Stark is introduced as this archetype, and then we immediately resolve it by episode 6, right? This is a character who is cowardly at first, who wants to build up his reputation and become the hero that the people wanted him to be, or I would say the hero that the people thought he was, and became that hero, finally conquering his fear, finally facing the dragon, finally defeating that dragon, and then he becomes the warrior that his master Aizen wanted him to be in the first place. And I really appreciate that, because sometimes these characters are, or I would say these types of characters would go on and on and on with their cowardly acts, mostly for comedic reasons. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. And even though we are only like 6 episodes into the show, I still don't know whether or not we're going to get that again from Stark. Like, let's say if we are facing a different enemy who is more powerful or more scary than a dragon, and then that's going to get into Stark and he's gonna go cowardly mode again. Like, I don't know if that is going to happen or not, but I'm just glad that at least for our first introduction of the character, it is shown that he has developed in these two episodes, right? And speaking of developments, I love the trio that we have right now with our characters, Frieren, Fern, and Stark. I think they all bounce each other pretty well in terms of like their dynamic, their quippiness, their dialogue, and their sort of their relationships between one another. Like, I really enjoy what we are having in the final half of episode 6. I think that is a perfect example of what is to come in the future in regards to what type of shenanigans we're going to be getting between them, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. I am sensing a bit of more than just friends between Fern and Stark later down the line, but I'm not sure yet, because the formula is there, right? The pathway is open for them to somehow develop a romantic relationship. Now, I'm not saying that they have to, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do, because it kind of sits in this nice formula, this typical narrative structure of, yeah, these two, they're gonna get together. Frieren, obviously, she's not gonna, obviously not, of course not, right? Frieren has, other people in mind, but I don't know. I'm not sure, because we're starting Fern and Stark's relationship as kind of like this really rocky, oh, I don't like you, you are disgusting, you are pathetic. But as more they adventure on, the more they kind of bond, the more they kind of realize about like who each of these persons are. And we kind of got that nice little moment between them as they are looking towards like the beautiful landscape. And it is a sign of a beautiful friendship, moving forward into the future. But beyond the characters, I have to compliment the direction once again. I think these two set of episodes were beautifully directed. I think the storyboards are mostly fantastic. The art direction has been phenomenal. The beautiful vistas of the world is just impressive and breathtaking, to say the least. The animation between the fight between Frieren, Fern, Stark in particular against the dragon was chef's kiss. It was mwah. It was like so beautifully done. And we are going to be talking more about that in the episode breakdown, the episode discussion, but that sequence has been a major highlight for me throughout this entire episode watch. It's so dynamic, it's so fluid, it's all snappy, like it's all beautifully done. I think beyond the dragon fight, one of the other compliments that I can give Frieren, at least in terms of these two episodes, and Frieren as a whole, is the constant world building. Because we travel a lot, right? This entire journey is going to span 10 years at least, and we're going to be traveling between going to be traveling to different cities, different villages, different vistas, and I just love how we are being given time to actually take in on how the world looks. Like, this is the establishing shot of like the next city that we are going to be in for a while, and the shot lingers just long enough for us to like fully capture like, okay, this is how the city is, this is the vibe, and then we go deeper into the city, we kind of learn and we kind of see like what the city is. And I love how it is classic fantasy, but it doesn't feel repetitive compared to other fantasy animes, if that makes sense. I talked about like the isekai anime genre in the previous episode discussion, where a lot of fantasy animes are mostly stern from the isekai genre, and a lot of isekais usually look the same, and that may create some oversaturation of the look and style of classic fantasy. Because nowadays, if you look at like fantasy shows in anime that are, that stood out more than the rest of the gang, like I would immediately think of Made in Abyss, right? That is a fantasy show, but it is nothing like the classic fantasy show that we are used to. And then there's, of course, like other fantasy shows that are more steampunk, something that is more even modern, let's say. Like these are all, they stand out from the crowd because of the setting. And to me, all of that just kind of make me love Frieren even more. And that is simply because Frieren is taking those classic fantasy elements, and yet it portrays them in a classic way as well. And that is something that I can't really say to all of the other isekai fantasy animes out there that are portraying the classic setting. And what I mean is that the classic fantasy setting is just a setting for a lot of other shows. It is just merely a backdrop. It's almost a window dressing, if you will, right? It's just there to set the mood. Oh yeah, here's a medieval castle, a medieval kingdom. There's some goblins, there's some elves, there's some really bad people. All of the armies are using swords and spears, and we have magic. And we use incantations and whatever, and there's mages, like all classical tropes of fantasy. And yet, almost every single one of them, at least the ones that I have seen, or at least the ones that I saw glimpses of, they don't really expand upon them more. Like, yeah, they're there, and then that's it. And it's just, as I said, used as a mere backdrop for the world and our characters to do other shenanigans and such. Sometimes it works, but as somebody who loves fantasy, it's something that I feel like they are wasting. And Frieren does not waste its world. It's giving time, as I said, for us, the audience, to actually sit and take in all of the vistas, take in all of the world, take in like the city and such as we go from city to city. And each city, while its architecture may feel similar, but these are all very different cities. Like the layout, the style, it's different. It's unique from one another, right? And that is why I kind of like Frieren's approach to it a lot more, and I kind of appreciate it a lot more. I'm hoping to see more crazy cities and other different styles of architecture in the future, though. The tease of like the Demon King's city or the Demon King's territory from the previous episode gave me a lot of hope of, yep, there's going to be more exaggerated cities, exaggerated settings in the future that we're gonna be seeing. And I hope that the more we venture north to the realm of the dead, the more mythological we are going to be getting. One of the first major things that we kind of tackle on in episode 5 is communing with the dead. And by the dead, I mean the dead in quotations. They're not really the dead, they're just mere illusions, right, as Frieren mentions. And I think this was the right call to do in terms of like storytelling, because obviously the main quest, the main goal is to talk to the dead. So in a fantasy world, obviously, there's going to be a lot of things that may be similar to that, you know, like what if there's a spell that can actually raise the dead? What if you can talk to the dead and ask them questions like 5 times, like in Dungeons and Dragons, and then they die again? Like, there's a lot of rules in terms of like talking to the dead and not just physically going to the land of the dead. So I think they did a pretty good job in terms of like actually introducing that idea firsthand within episode 5, because obviously that is going to be a question that a lot of other people may probably be questioning, right? And by actually answering those questions immediately in the first episode where our journey truly begins, it's like, oh, okay, there we go. And I think it's also a nice thematic build-up of, okay, this is how they may feel in regards to meeting their past friends, their past loved ones. But obviously this is not the case. These are not the actual loved ones that they are desiring to meet. No, these are all mere illusions. And what it does is that it presents us with a what could happen? What are their thoughts at the moment? Like, what do they actually feel? Because before all of this, they're all, okay, let's go to the land of the dead. Let's go meet our friends. Let's go meet Himmel. Maybe you're gonna find Hightot as well, Fern, who knows, but we're gonna be meeting them, right? And it's all, you know, like, let's go on an adventure. Let's do this. But what do they actually feel, right? Mentally speaking, commuting with the dead, people that are gone physically in the world, but you still want to talk to them. You still have regrets, if you will, right? How are they feeling about all of this? And in this episode, they kind of tackled it a very little bit, but they tackled it nonetheless, setting the tone of like what is to come in the future. The closest that I can compare this to would be a side quest in The Witcher 3, where, now, I'm not gonna spoil like The Witcher 3 at all, but like the basic premise of The Witcher 3 is that you are playing Geralt of Rivia, you are trying to find a character named Ciri, and sometime in your adventure, you're gonna be meeting a character that can change form. And you have the option to either, do you want that character to transform into Ciri so that you can see what Ciri looks like, because it's been years since Geralt has seen Ciri, or do you want to keep that moment for much later in the game, for when you actually see her for the first time, their actual selves. And it is a very fascinating idea. It's not just a fascinating idea, but a fascinating question, right? And the not just the morality of it, but also the importance of that first ever encounter. And it also showcases how much of a deeper connection these characters have to the people that they want to meet. In the case of Frieren, Fern almost couldn't move. She was almost petrified at the fact that she is staring at Hatar at that very moment, right? Like, she doesn't know what to do, she doesn't know what to say. Whereas with Frieren, somebody who has experienced this before, apparently, especially with her master, when she met Himmel during that moment, she's like, okay, boom, and then conjures up one of the most overpowered spell in the entire story from my own understanding. But I guess that's another thing that I find interesting within this moment, is that Frieren always met with her master before, but now she's meeting with Himmel. Could the monster that is conjuring up these illusions, that is looking at their memories, is it picking the ones that has the most strongest of connections, or is it just random? I feel like there's more, obviously, right? Before this, Frieren has a stronger connection to her master. Now, especially after she is taking on this quest, there is a more affinity towards Himmel, in my opinion. Obviously, there's major hints that Himmel loves Frieren, and with the development of Frieren's character, she is kind of slowly opening up to that idea and more accepting it. So I kind of feel that that is the case. It's kind of like a soft, I don't want to say it's a soft confirmation of the fact that Frieren has more feelings towards Himmel, but hey, who's to say, right? Moving on from there, we meet the dragon, which is going to be like our main central conflict for these 2 episodes, at least for the second half of episode 5 and the first half of episode 6. I really love how we began with our journey with this dragon, Frieren and Fern just kind of looking at from the distance and kind of basically poking the lion, right? That is essentially what they're doing, right? They're poking at the dangerous predator that is just sleeping by actually shooting it with a magic spell or whatever. It's like, poke it a bit, boop, and okay, run away. That is essentially what happens. Frieren says, poke it, Fern, and then she did. And then Frieren's like, well, shit, it woke up, run away. And it just makes for some really fun, lighthearted comedy, even though lives are at stake, but it was a really fun bit. And from there, we met Stark, as I mentioned before in my review. Really love how we are introduced to this character. I love the comedy that they are doing with this character and how they immediately and quickly resolve that. Though I still kind of think that Stark will still be delegated to the comedic role for the group, but still, regardless of that, the character development is pretty much on full display in episode 6, and I cannot wait to see more of him between Stark and the dragon. It is a pretty big thing to talk about because there's a lot to talk about, so I'm just gonna be very brief on this and say it is a really well done sequence. The cinematography, the shot composition, the use of color, the movement itself, like the overall animation of the dragon especially, was superb. Extra points for the dragon being, actually 2D animated and not CG. CG sometimes take a really bad rep in all of this, but that's just usually how it goes with a lot of dragons in anime. There's a lot of really bad CG dragons in anime, but there are some good ones. Most of them feel out of place, but this is one of those moments where the dragon is the standout in a good way, because just the sheer ferocity of its movement is excellently portrayed. Like, you definitely feel like the anger and the animalistic nature of it. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's really well done. I love this part when the dragon is finally shooting its fire and the world around it just kind of dims a bit in lighting so that we can focus a lot more on the fire effect, basically mimicking that of an actual camera where you lower your ISO down so that you can focus more on the lighting. You see it again when the fireball actually hits the ground, because here it's very bright, fireball comes in, everything gets dimmed down except for the light itself, which is still very bright as it's also lighting Stark in the back. And even this running animation of Stark just trying to reach the dragon is just so well animated. It's really well done. I absolutely love this mounted shot of Stark just holding for dear life as he is grabbing on the scales of the dragon. The movement of it's so well done. I love it. And what I also love about this fight is that we are, as an audience, we are attuned with Stark. Like, we are feeling that adrenaline, right? We are like, yeah, let's go, let's do it, let's fight this dragon. And in our adrenaline, even I didn't realize that the dragon was already dead. And having Frieren to essentially say, hey, what dragon are you fighting? Like, what do you want me to do? It's already dead. That was perfect, in my opinion. Because I was like, Frieren, why aren't you fighting? Why aren't you helping him out? Oh, it's already dead. It's so well done. The second half of episode 6, we mostly focus on Stark and Frieren, and I guess there's the start of their friendship. It was really fun to see them go around. It was really fun to see them go around the city and trying to figure out how do we get the hell out of the city because of the obvious political problems that the city is facing against, right? Because a lot of it is being cut off, a lot of it is being blocked, a lot of it is being shut down, like you can't really move. Even the trade companies are having difficulties trying to get in and out and all that stuff. And the sheer juxtaposition between Frieren and Stark's stance in all of this, with Frieren, who obviously wanted to stay in the city for longer because she just wants to learn and study magic and just be lazy about some things because she doesn't want to go to the Demon King territory because that is a really, really bad place according to Frieren. Being lazy and not wanting to, continue on with the journey for a while, and then all of a sudden the guards are like, yeah, you may go. You have special permission. Obviously you have saved our city like a couple of decades ago, so on you go. We're gonna give you supplies as well. I don't know. It's so funny. And with that, the journey continues forward, and cannot wait to see more. Frieren has been a fantastic episode, fantastic show, I would say, and I'm really looking forward for more. So, hope you guys enjoyed my reaction. Hope you guys enjoyed this discussion, this review that I had. If you do, hit the like, subscribe, you know the drill. And I will see you all next time for the next episode of Frieren. Take care, everybody. Have a nice day. Peace.